Why do you feel that it is something which is antisocial about it? In a park, you both of you go together and then you sit together, and then there's nothing that you just have a. Do you feel that it is something which is and just have a ice cream together with that? It's wonderful.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Who said namaste? I didn't. Oh, it's Rupa, right?
Yes.
Nice. So let's start. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Just one of the most important texts that we have, one category of texts that we have, is the Puranas. It has been given equal importance to the Vedas. That's why Vedavyasa has given us the Vedas, four Vedas, and also he has given us this Puranas also. That is Ashtadasha Purana, 18 Puranas he has given. And Puranas are nothing but the way of life of these gods and goddesses, various demons and all that. Now the question is that, do they really exist? Is this reality? It's not the question of whether the reality, according to the way that Sanatana Dharma looks at, it's not the question of like the way that we have the wakeful state reality. Because Upanishad said that wakeful state is a wakeful state reality, but dream has its own reality. Dream is a reality because that if I dream it, I get the effect of these dreams. And I see that expression of my own emotions that are there in the dream. So we never called it a dream is unreal. It's real. Only thing is it's individualized. And this is because that we have an ability to imagine. We have an ability to expand ourselves into various ideas. Dreaming is something which is extraordinary ability. Human being has it. Of all the 80 million species that are there, human being has an ability to dream.
Oh, no other species can.
No other species can dream. They only have some memory. And that memory of fear, memory of something will be there. Dream will not be there. Because they cannot picturize the things. Whereas we can picturize. And dream is nothing but pictures. Message conveyed through pictures. Why the pictures are extraordinary way of expression ourselves in a wonderful optimized way. That means to say 100 thoughts can be put in a picture. And the pictorial way that something must have happened in the case of Mahabharata war, which must have taken about 10 minutes, 15 minutes of time, the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. By the time Vyasa wrote that, it came to 700 sutras. So that means to say pictorial to verbal, it takes such a big gap between them. Same way our dreams. The dreams are so little time it takes. But then when you try to elaborate the dream, it takes 4 hours, 3, 4 hours like that. So this is how essentially experience to expression, the proportion is almost like 1,000 folds many times. So therefore, by the time you express it, many times what happens is that what your experience is not even conveyed. That's what the weakness of expression. So therefore, essentially that these the ideas that were there with the people that they have expressed in the form of various Puranas. It is not a question whether somebody was there, somebody not there. That's not even a question at all. Whether there is some other words existing or not, a lot of people argue with that. I'm not interested in that argument because for me, very simple thing is that the Puranas are, you see, we have all these forces, all these powers all these energy centers that are there. But the moment that you call them energy, then energy does not have what is called as a life component. Small little simple energy has a life component within us. Like for example, the energy component within us is in the form of prana, because energy is that which makes it movement possible. So we move the things, and when we move the things, we use the prana within us. But then prana, it's not just simply an energy. It's not like moving something only in the form of like an energy moving some object or the other. But here, prana we have given much more greater importance than the energy. That's why we call it as energy plus consciousness is prana. The consciousness element is added to this prana, energy. That's what is. That consciousness energy is not there in the consciousness of the component is not there in the case of energy, whereas in prana we have got that. What is that consciousness uh, component of consciousness in the prana? Is the self-management. See, the freedom to manage itself. This is what Shastra said again. Swayameva pinatam yati, swayameva tanavam. By itself it increases, by itself it comes down. Same thing with the manas also. Manas has got this component of by itself increases, it decreases. Like for example, prana, manifestation is respiration. Respiration, I can increase the rate of respiration, I can slow down the respiration, both these things are possible. So this ability to manage itself, that's what is prana. And that's been elaborate. This is the component of consciousness, is given again and again in the Vedas. Like, for example, it says that yajna is one of the expressions of the consciousness. He says, prano yajnana kalpitam, apano yajnana kalpitam, etc., etc. Finally, he says in the Rudram, yajno yajnana kalpitam. Yajna by itself produces yajna. That means it is a self-controlling, self-managing kind of a property that it has got, which means basically it has that freedom element. So therefore, energy plus consciousness is supposed to be prana. Similarly, energy, a thought, the idea plus consciousness is what is the thought. Ideas are without energy, without consciousness. But idea, when we give the consciousness to it, then it becomes a thought. So thinking process is where the energy is there. Because it has got the component of consciousness, that's why it is freedom is there within us. This is what Patanjali says, that you can slow down your thoughts, reduce your thoughts, and I can give you various means to reduce the thought and transcend the thought itself. He says that go from thought to thinking is actually is asking you to transcend, and that has got an ability within. It's a consciousness. It's a very simple thing. Like for example, an instrument can produce also music, but it cannot by itself regulate, whereas human being regulates. You say, like for example, you sing a particular note, and then you sing it. No, no, it is like this, comes like this. And how a person can do it? What is that you are managing? The consciousness is managing that sound. You see, the consciousness everywhere is the freedom element, whether it is in singing or whether it is in doing any activity, or whether it is in thinking, or whether it is in the form of pranic activity that's going on. The consciousness is there. So therefore, this consciousness element is there behind everything. And it is the consciousness which brought about all these activities.
So Dusanga is misusing the
Yes,
not using the consciousness in the right way.
a right way. We have the consciousness, that's a freedom. I can use it in the right way, I can use it in the wrong way. That's why it is such a beautiful way that
You
it is.
can use consciousness in the wrong. You can shift the
No,
conscious.
see, our idea focus should be the freedom is there.
Yeah.
If you think of consciousness, but if you get a freedom, I can make use of the freedom to go in the wrong way. I can use the freedom to go in the right way. The freedom is mine.
Correct.
So, because you can go in the wrong way only, that we need a Sanatana Dharma to push us into the right direction. So, And it's not just to say that don't do this, don't do this, but they have given alternatively what to do that. So that's why Sanatana Dharma is essentially to see that it's like the way left to itself. And in fact, nobody need to give an education to know what is the wrong way. A wrong way, it is very easily available. It happens. Whereas right way, we need to take an effort to that. So therefore, that it is going in the upward direction, tapas and the knowledge. We always identified the knowledge and tapas, etc., with the fire, because fire always goes in the upward direction. The analogy of fire is used in all these things. Knowledge is supposed to be fire. See, Amrutatva is going in the upward direction. Mrityu is going down. Mrityu anyway happens. I don't have to give you tricks to do the Mrityu. I mean, in the name of spirituality, people are given the tricks to do go for Mrityu. They have what is that? Embellished the Mrityu, etc., etc. The life purpose is, there's no purpose in living, and then everybody has to die. Actually, this is what is the way that people have misused that. I don't know whether you have come across I give that example in the Guinness Book of World Records. One incident has come for ill fame. That is, there was one New York, there was one person by name Jim Jones. He's supposed to be a spiritual teacher. And then he said that we are all sinners born out of sin, therefore that there is no problem in living, point in living and all that. You can't come out of it. So let's commit suicide. 1,000 people together, they took tiny cyanide poison and killed themselves. That's how they entered into the Guinness Book of Record. In my own lifetime, I have seen that. I was there in Houston, and very close to Houston, about 150, 200 miles away, there is one particular place called as Waco. It's in Texas. And about 140 people are one spiritual leader. He joined everybody together and said that we all have to die together. And then they set up themselves in a building and then set the building to the fire.
Oh my God.
140 people died together. So that one can, in the name of spirituality, one can say you can die. I mean, going in the wrong direction in a wrong way is a different thing. But giving a picture of a right thing going in the wrong way is also possible. So that's why
So
I
people are getting convinced also.
yeah, you can give an argument to convince them. See,
That will
that's
be-
what is the way that communism works, You can brainwash people. To kill somebody is that you will go to heaven. You can, as many number of people you kill, so you will give such a permanent place in the heaven. Like that, that is what Azmal Kasab has done.
So, for example, if two people, Ramji, if I
Yeah.
don't know you only, for
Yeah.
example, two people are there, in this name of spirituality, you are saying some person, something, that person is
Yeah.
saying. If we both are sitting here,
Right.
how will we know which of the person is saying the right
That's the
thing?
reason why you
Huh.
you use the logic. You use an instrument to see that you have wonderful instrument, a logic. So therefore that you see the logic and basic instinct. The basic instinct within us is to survive.
Yeah.
Your wanting to survive is something which is basically that's there within us. Like for example, wild animals also don't kill other animals. They kill only when they're hungry. Unfortunately, what happened is this is TV channels and also this geographical channel. They just show only an animal hunting an animal. But hunting another animal for the animal world, like for a tiger, going in behind a deer is like that you go to buy vegetable in vegetable market. So if I can show you that you are buying the vegetables to cut the life of the vegetable and all that, if somebody shows like that, how horrible it is. Fortunately, the dogs and cats cannot show like that. They don't have that intelligence. Otherwise, they would protect human being. He's such a horrible person that every day he kills so many banana and so many this, so many that. That's also violence. So we project that way. Other than that, animals, they don't necessarily kill when they're not hungry. They eat when they're hungry, and their food is a deer or the eagles. Food is to hunt something and then eat it. Why do we feel that it is something which is sad? Because we have taken the side of the other soft object. Therefore, we say that eagle is bad. It's only we have taken a side, but it's not in the nature. Nature is like that. So therefore, that essentially what happened is that every power has both the qualities, both sides. And another thing is, many times what happens is that you see that fire itself can help us to cook food, but fire itself can burn the whole house. So it is not the fault of the fire, but what's there behind the fire. So normally what happens is that Western world has taken, it's very clear that fire itself does not have any freedom. But we have given one more concept to that, saying that fire, we plus freedom, we gave it a human form of fire. That's why we said fire is a god. Fire is God there for you so that you can use the fire to see that in the right direction. You can respect Him. Similarly, for us, all these forces that are there are gods. And they are human beings because that we have given them the aspect of the consciousness behind that. And the most evolved consciousness in the species today is the human being. So we created God in our human being form. So the same way that He's much more beautiful than us, much more these things and all those and accomplished, and we never questioned that. Like for example, we have taken the Ganesha. Ganesha is a God for us because knowledge. But knowledge itself, you'd say that otherwise it does not have any particular direct. But it's in our mind that knowledge is also a God for us. It's a human form. And what is knowledge? Actually, all these sensory organs input is what is the knowledge. So therefore, we said that knowledge God, Ganesha, with elephant head. So elephant head is because elephant head, you see that its head is so big. That means it has bank. The what is that? Memory bank is so big. And the second thing is nose is so big. Eyes are so sharp. Ears are so big. It's only representation of all those things. But then how can we have a god with the elephant head? Then we created a nice, wonderful story. As a father and mother. That's what is Shiva and Parvati. And Parvati made something like that. And then the head is cut off, and therefore Shiva goes in search of the head, and then he brought an elephant head, brought it. Nice story. Now, this is just a story. See, all these ideas are stories. We should not necessarily extend it beyond the level of what its utility. Utility is to see that he represents knowledge. So therefore, all those things are there. And he's intelligent. And so he is family, that his father and mother is there. So therefore, he has another brother, and that's what is Kartikeya. And now we have a family. Now the story is created, family stories. Brothers are in competition. Who will go around the earth fast? So Kartikeya, he has a peacock as his driver, and he went swiftly on that. But Ganesha is the Mushaka, that is the rat, and this fellow cannot move, and he himself is so heavy, can't move it. But then the story is so beautiful that wherever Kartikeya goes, the 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 proof that he has visited around the country, around the world, is that various pilgrim centers he has to go. And then wherever he goes to the pilgrim centers, he would see Ganesha right in front of him. He said, "We are surprised. How this man came in front of me?" So everywhere he went and came back to parents, and then Ganesha is standing there. Then he bowed himself. I said, "My God, your elder brother, fine, but I'm really puzzled. How did he come back?" Then Parvati explains that, your mother is like universe for you. So therefore he went on the mother so that you have seen him everywhere. See, the story, don't give it as, that's why we have these two important ideas. One is called as Satya and the other is Tathya. Tathya is what happened. Whereas Satya is the idea behind it, reality behind it. The reality behind it is that always you respect your mother as God. Mother is universe for a child. Respect your mother so that it takes care of everything. It's a wonderful message to convey to the. So this is what is the idea of Puranas. And Ganesha is like a good friend of everybody. Therefore, that in fact somebody has given that idea that in the God's idols that are there in the world, the most number of different varieties of idols of Ganesha outnumber every other thing. Ganesha can be anywhere. because knowledge is there in everything. So that is the beauty of Ganesha that we have. But there is one more thing also that is there. See, he represents all this knowledge, everything, intellect. So Ganesha is also intellect, and intellect is actually basically divides. It does not unite. So when the moment intellect comes, the chaos happens. So Ganesha is actually he creates a Vigna. That's why Vigna Raja he is. Vigna means he puts a a rug there everywhere, and therefore that you are in trouble. So therefore we don't want anything in trouble. That's the reason why we pray to him before anything starts. Please don't bring in any troubles, and because you are the person who will bring in trouble. But then with that, we also understand one more thing. It's all right. We pray the Ganesha, but we can understand also. Don't bring in the intellect when the things are happening. Let it happen. Don't unnecessarily bring in the intellect. Use the intellect when it is absolutely necessary. And then he also has the carrier, the vehicle for him is the uh, Mushaka. And this rat is something which can cut anything. There is nothing which can rat cannot do it. That's a dangerous thing. So it may look very small, it can go to any corner and create a whole problem, and then all that happens. So that's why we offer our prayers to Ganesha. Actually, Ganesha, we pray to him, so don't create any problem to us. But somehow over a period of time, people have misunderstood that and said he is somebody who we have to pray him as a starting god. So much that anything, everything that you go to Ganesha to offer. Education Ganesha, car new Ganesha, new vehicle Ganesha, anything with Ganesha that you start. But again, it's like a family. See, these Puranas, they have given us extraordinary wonderful thing about these stories so that the stories convey a message behind it. We always used to have this kind of thing even in our childhood days that any Puranic story that was there below that moral of the story, we always used to have that. It is for that moral that story is given. Something has to be done. And good and bad are always there. But bad is not original. Bad is because of something else that happened. That's why we had this idea that all these gods are there. Because you see, one thing is that to project the good, we always have to have bad. Day and night, base of opposite. It has to be there. Creation is full of that. Therefore, we have gods and demons also there. But then always the demons are there. They are subdued by these gods. Like Rama killed Ravan, Krishna killed Kamsa. So all these things are wonderful. But at the same time, if you closely watch, this Kamsa is not original Kamsa, or Ravana is not just original Ravana. He is somebody else who is very good, but he got neglected his duty, or maybe something like that. He did not pay attention. Therefore, he is cursed. So there's relief from that curse that he met with this kind of situation. So he's also good. So therefore, Ravana is credited with all kinds of things that he is a Mahapandita, he conquered three worlds, and then he is a great uh, knowledgeable person, he can do the rituals. Somebody who has done tapas for such a long time definitely must have rituals. See how we have blended all these things in the story. This is a message, but all these things blended in the story. Rama was supposed to start his war, and before the war starts, that he has to do the puja of goddess. And then he said, "What is the who is that fit Brahmin to do the puja? That too in a foreign land. He was not in Ayodhya. He's in Lanka." He said, "Who is the best Brahmin here?" He said, "Ravan is the Brahmin. Okay, let him come and do the puja for Rama's victory against Ravan himself." I said, whether Ravan will accept or not? Send the best of your misery. And he is a king. You see how beautifully it is planned. He is a king. Ravan is a king. So therefore, send another king, your Raja. And that's why Angada was sent there. Angada goes there, basically is king. He said, I came here to request you that my friend King Rama is there. He is doing puja. So we want a Brahmin, and you are the best Brahmin. And you are extraordinary, all those things. Everybody thought he will not agree. But Rama knew that he will agree. Ravan said, Yes, I'm coming. Wow. He came and did the puja for Rama. See, the the whole idea is that when you look at all these things, your idea that somebody is very bad and then somebody is good, that goes away. This is something like which is a curse that he has to go through that. So it looks like that the journey for the good and bad is supposed to be, it's a normal flow out of which good always wins, good succeeds. And this is what is the message that Sanatana Dharma gives us. For that, how many stories are there? How many different stories are there? All these stories belong to these Puranas, 18 different Puranas which are there. Abundance of stories convey this message. So, therefore, one thing is that these powers are given the human form. We never thought anything which is less than a human form. And the whole, see how much that we have given the human form for these things, and God has to bless that. God has to give that, including the this concept is so much even in the latest of the technology development, all those things. This will go undercurrent. It flows. Like for example, we have to send the spacecraft to the space, and that time that he comes and does the puja in the temple for that, and then for his success. That means God's idea is always there within our system. So to establish the gods into the human form and create the whole story behind it, Puranas are important. Another very important aspect of Puranas is there we see the gods and goddesses and the relationship and all those things. The relationships are given extraordinary, wonderful importance. Mother and child relationship, in very Puranas it is there. Similarly, husband and wife relationship, it is given in the highest position, the marriage. That's why even till today in the marriages that we first show, we the mantras that involve the the first pairs that were extraordinary, wonderful pairs, but Rama, Sita, similarly Vani, Purandarabhyam Namaha. Like that we take their names, extraordinary names to bring about concept of the purity for the marriage institution. Like that, every institution is given based on the Puranas. Third important aspect of these Puranas is look at the amount of whatever the technology development, science development that is there, it is incorporated in the Puranas. It may be again and again, time and again, they have been incorporated, but it doesn't matter that it has their position in that Puranas. So when this message has to be taken, should we remove the Puranas? Take the Puranas as it is, pull the whole story, bring about all those things. When the child starts learning, give him only story. But when the child grows bigger, then you see the more details. An adult becomes, then is going to the spiritual direction. Give him all these details that are there. So, like that, there is several level um, ideas that Purana, and not only that, whatever that they have written, we can always incorporate something new idea that is there. You can also always incorporate. You don't have to stick to only the original thing. Like for example, uh, original Ramayana, it might not have been there that Lakshman Rekha was there, but somebody has introduced that concept that she has drawn a line so that Lakshmana has drawn a line. The purpose behind that drawing the line is that even for the good reason, that means to say to give alms to some sannyasi, she has to come out of her own limitations. That means to say, even at that point of time, for the good reason also, don't step out because you'll be in danger. That's what that line, Lakshmana says that you cross the line, your own responsibility. Until now, as long as I'm here, I will not allow you to go. But moment that I'm not there, then it is your responsibility. How many other ways that we can use that particular concept in our day-to-day life? We are the people responsible for ourselves. That's what a beautiful message. Similarly, it's another, like this, poetically, they have brought about so many wonderful concepts. Raman comes to Sita every time and tries to kind of all those things. Sita takes out a blade of grass, puts it there, say that, and Raman doesn't cross it. What is that idea? The idea is when first is that woman tries to see that husband takes care of it. But when husband is not there, the next is brother. And Sita is Prudhvi Putri. That means a daughter of the earth.
Yeah.
Blade of grass is born to earth. So that blade of grass is her own brother. With that concept, she put that. What an extraordinary concept that was there. And that concept is carried in our culture. Because of this Purana stories that is there, the concept is considered in our culture. That's what is Raksha Bandhan. Extraordinary, wonderful meaning is given to that. Not only that, your own sibling born together with that. Anybody you tie a Raksha, he becomes your brother. He protects you. Anywhere in the world. Wow. See, that means one simple concept comes in the Purana, whether it is right or wrong or not, whether it is real or unreal, don't worry about it, but how it is universally applicable. See, Puranas help us to bring in these things, various concepts like that. Similarly, another very, and that means to say, it gives an authenticity to a relationship. You cannot violate the relationship. And a country, culture where there are relationships, that culture is so sound. Whereas the cultures which have reduced this relationship, that culture is very vulnerable. Like, for example, I was giving the lesson in yoga classes in China. It's in Ganja I'm giving. And I was giving them the ideas of bhakti and said that we are all born with love. Love we grow up. In fact, the child grows by love. That's what psychologists say, that everywhere else child grows by uh, uh, nutrition, etc., etc. In India, child grows by love. Variety of love, yes. Mother's love, father's love, parents' love, this love, that love, brother's love, sister's love, uncle's love, aunt's love. I was telling all those things, and somebody got up and said that no, no, in China you can't. They don't understand what you're talking about. I said, why? In China, there's one child per family. That means there's no brother or sister. Wow, what a big loss. That means a child does not have a taste of having a sibling together with. Such a big, big difference. And as a result of it, what happens? The whole thing has become mechanical. There's no love left with. How much the love is not there. When I was staying in China, in our house, that then one lady used to come and then do some cleaning work. And then she was staying in the ghettos, in the slums. Then she would do it. And she said, yeah, I was abandoned here because of one child policy in the family. And my brother, he became a doctor, he's somewhere there. I don't even see him, but he was there. There's absolutely no relationship between the brother and sister. Because we asked, he said, in many houses they don't even ask. Because we are Indians, we try to ask these things. I felt so bad about it, so sad about it. So, you see, this is something where we had such wonderful relationship. In fact, I was thinking that when we had the combined family, so many members in the family, brothers are there, sisters, uncles are there, in English that we don't have words also, uncle, auntie, but whereas in local languages, we have so many words, pupa, this, that, and all that. I don't even know that. I'm really confused about all those things that are there. So, such an extraordinary, wonderful relationship combination that is there, and that's there in the case of Puranas. Puranas are there, we adapt the same thing within our day to day life. There, the values are taken care of, here also values are taken. Look at the way that Subhadra is supposed to be the brother of, sister of Krishna. Krishna takes care of her. In fact, if you go to Jagannath, Puri Jagannath temple, there Krishna together with that Subhadra is there. It's very rare. Nobody can think of it. We are given such a value for that. Because of that, we are given that value, that how the women should feel so safe with them. And men also feel so much happy to have not only just one sister, several sisters. I remember one time it was
Brings a healthier.
it's a very healthy relationship. There was a conference at Prashanti, I was there, and one of the vice chancellors was there and we were talking. Meanwhile, my daughter, I was not yet married. She was a student of Prashanti. She came And we are very close. And she put her hands on my shoulder and said, Papa, coming for food? Lunchtime. I very casually said, No, Baba, I'm going with uncle. And you go, have food. She went away. Afterwards, my son came and said, Dad, coming for food? I said, No, I'll go with uncle to the VIP sections and all that. Then he asked immediately, this guest who said, You have one son and one daughter? Then immediately my son, Who is that? I said, Nidhi was there with me. Oh, then I said, Uncle, Papa has several daughters. Only one son. It's such a beautiful relationship connections with all these things. So this is what is essentially the way that Puranas will help us to see that relationships are given importance to that. And we have several festivals connected with that. Like for example, we have what is that? Naraka Chaturdashi. Naraka, what is that? The There is one festival, not Shivratri. There is one festival based on Nagara Panchami. They're brothers and sisters. There's a festival, and you touch the feet of the sisters, or you touch the feet of the. All these things will give such an extraordinary, wonderful, extended relationship. If the relationship are strong, the family is strong.
In marriages also, Narendra,
How
Mama
much?
is given importance,
Yeah,
Atta is given importance.
right.
So they have somehow
Become
make
so
sure that
close.
there is
Right.
yeah.
Extraordinary, wonderful thing. The second thing is that these Puranas have also brought about the science and technology development during that time into the Puranas. Like, for example, we were the people who worked very early in the world when they did not even know the Stone Age or the Metal Age and all that. We knew by that time different metals and what usefulness about that. All that we had. That's why we could have Panchaloha, etc., etc. All the technology we had developed. And such extraordinary, wonderful technology we incorporated in the case of Ramayana Mahabharata. Like, for example, any puja has to be done, then Ramayana says that bring in the Panchaloha, Panchamritam, Panchaloha, this thing, vessel. So that means it's a Purana. But at that time, we had the idea of all these metallurgy, all these things we brought into that. Fire. How many aspects of fire that is there given in the Puranas? Whether it is there Padma Purana you take, Agni Purana when you take it, it has full of those details. So like that, there are so many things that are there which are brought into the Puranas, incorporating the science at the time development. This is a very important idea because that they said that a lot of people's is that India has always given importance to leaving the world and go for the spiritual journey. Even till today, it is there in the people's mind saying that the moment you take to Vedanta, philosophy, and all that, they feel that this boy is lost, is finished, and they're not more anymore useful to the world. First time that when I brought the Bhagavad Gita book to my home, it created such a big tremor in the house. My God, he has taken Bhagavad Gita. What will happen to Raghu? This is the kind of thing that was there. But whereas the Puranas show that technology development was there at that time when the Puranic period was there. And not only this technology development, today we see that the technology development, that this whole Western psychology, Western world adapted the calendar. Only when Julius Caesar came into the picture, he brought the calendar. And then Augustine. See, these are people, 10-month calendar became 12-month calendar and all that. They are struggling with that. It's about 1,700 years. They only calculate about Jesus Christ 36 years before that. And then before that is BC. They go only backward counting. They look at the way that 10,000 years we have counted the dates that we are given in the scriptures, in the Puranas. And today, the dates that were suggested is exactly the same date that was suggested. 144 years later, on this day, that these, whether it is the uh, sun or whether it is the Brahaspati, enter into the Kumbha, and look at the way that people from various corners of the whole country, from forest and all that, suddenly come on that day for the Sanathana. That means, how did they know? How did they know about all these things? We had a calendar which is unchanged for 10,000 years. So that is the technology development that we had. All these things are there. You can see the evidences of it. And that's why Puranas are important. Take every Purana has some story or the other, some incident or the other like that. Similarly, there are stories of Puranas where some sages are there. Like, for example, Upanishad. The Bhrigu, Varuna discussion goes on. Similarly, Yajnavalkya discussion goes on. We read that. The intellectual point of view, we see that. Whether it is Bhrigu, instead of Bhrigu, if XYZ, but the discussion is the same, it gives us a message. But look at the way that Bhrigu finds place in Purana. Yajnavalkya finds a place in some king's court somewhere else. And Janaka's place that Yajnavalkya was there. So that shows that it is not just only the we blended the intellectual knowledge that is there in the Vedas, Upanishads, directly to the Puranas. They are connected with these things. So this is how that characters have become immortal, the ever living kind of character that we're given. The knowledge of science, astrology, time, all these things are incorporated, all these things. So therefore, Puranas are very important to look at from various angles like this. Never question that whether somebody lived or not, Shiva, whether he's their person or not. It's not even a question for us. A very important idea is that I always share this idea that the whole Shiva Purana, Shiva Mahapurana is written. And then we know that Shiva is one of the three gods that is there. The Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are supposed to be the dissolution, Shiva. But then the whole Purana is there behind it in such a way that it identifies with the places that they're existing. So when we were going to Sri Shailam, and all the way that when we were at a place, person, lady who is from Turkey, she read Shiva Mahapurana so deeply. She went there and started saying, oh, this is a place where Arjuna comes here, Shiva comes here, Nandi comes here. All that she was talking, as if it's really happened there. So when the description is given in such a way, it has really happened today. That means Puranas are also ever existing kind of characters. You cannot deny saying that whether this happened or not, or do we have historical evidences or not. We were not interested in these things because we were interested in the message that these Puranas give us. So this is an extraordinary, wonderful text, group of texts that we had, Puranas. They're being updated. That means to say, as the time passes, many people, many ideas come in the Puranas to see that how we can enrich these Puranas. So therefore, that in this particular culture, one thing that we really value is, apart from these Upanishads, is the highest form of philosophy, and then the Puranas that are there. And one more thing Puranas contribute to us is this Karma Kanda. See, once again, let's go back to the Vedas. Vedas have two components. One is called as the Jnana component, and the other is the Karma component. That's why we say that it is the Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. And Karma Kanda has one portion is Brahmanas, and then the other portion is basically that there are the practices that are given. Brahmanas are the mantras which are supporting the practices. Like, for example, that there is a Rama's birthday is being celebrated, Ram Navami, and the mantras that are used in Ram Navami are taken from the Brahmanas. Similarly, this Kumbh Mela that we are doing, all the mantras that are chanted at the time of Kumbh Mela are taken from the Brahmanas. So Brahmanas bring about this kind of a thing. Now, this what happens is that by this way that we are chanting, there are people who chant that they enliven this particular knowledge. And the knowledge that was given in this particular language, Sanskrit, is supposed to be so precise, so exact that even after 10,000 years, it has not changed. That means to say it is being updated again and again as time permits, as the time passes on, so that people adapt that. Today, what we are chanting as Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, which is there in the Taittiriya Upanishad. That means to say, 7,000 years ago it was chanted. Today also we chant exactly the same way. Because the language has all that necessary equipment to see that it is intact. First of all, knowledge itself is very logically built, and then it is provided with all the other instruments to be intact. So that's why the Sanskrit language is an extraordinarily wonderful language because it conveys the message in such a way that that message cannot be uh, deformed. Nobody can say that, it is something later on, something is added, nothing can be added, nothing can be. So that's why they have given some structural facility also like that. Like, for example, they call it as Jata Pata, Ghana Pata, etc., etc. By that, what happens, if you change one letter from that, then the whole sequence gets changed. That's why we have, in the first place, that there is way that it is written, it is called as chandas, and there are several chandas, and added to that, there are several number of letters that are restricted in a particular thing, and what kind of respect letters that it has to be there, anuswara, anudata, udata, etc., etc. Like that, so many restrictions have given. You can see that these things are there right from the Upanishad time. So that is why this particular Sanatana Dharma has such an extraordinary, wonderful literature built in such a beautiful way. So Vedas are there, Puranas are there. Puranas, in that, I mean, in the Vedas, we have the Brahmanas, and then we have the Karmakanda. Now, this is where the Karmakanda has three different purposes. One thing is the Karmakanda enlivens the Puranic ideas that are there, or in other words, the message that is there in the Puranic ideas are continued in this particular rituals. The second thing is that this it gives a story value for the children. Children can go with the stories, and then number of stories are created. In fact, recently I've been watching one of the TV serial that has come about just the aspect of Krishna with Yashoda's time. How many different ways that the love between the Krishna and Yashoda is shown in that. Extraordinary. In fact, any mother, child, look at that particular thing, then the relationship becomes so extraordinary. And so many things are added in that, fine. This is what the flexibility that where Puranas give us. And the third important aspect is that this is a wonderful tool for practice of yoga. So we have these two different aspects of yoga. One is called as the abhyasa and vairagya. And under abhyasa, we have the ideas of karma yoga and Raj Yoga and Karma Yoga. Under the category of Vairagya, we have Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Now look at the way Bhakti Yoga, when you take it, or the Karma Yoga, we take it, there's a lot of Purana interjection into these things. See, that means Yoga and Puranas, Yoga and Vedas, you cannot separate it. Unfortunately, over a period of last about 100 years or 200 years, that people have distanced these things in such a way. People come to yoga and say, I'm interested in yoga, not in philosophy, Vedanta. They never know anything about Vedanta. Forget about Vedanta, they don't even know about the basic text of yoga itself. Yoga is basic text is Patanjali Yoga Sutra. They say they don't even know that. In fact, in one of the yoga classes, I said that Patanjali Yoga Sutras, I'm giving a talk about that. Then they surprised, said, oh, Patanjali has written Yoga Sutras also. I thought he was only given Dantamanjan. Ramdev Baba gave the name of this thing, but it has become like that. Same way that there is another one book, big book I came across, which is supposed Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Title is Hatha Yoga Pradipika. I went through the whole book, every page, about 100, 250 pages. Not one single word about Swatmarama's Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But it is a book of Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Oh.
How unfortunately that our own people have not given the details. If they say that West do not understand, what's the problem with them? It's we have created the problem.
Yeah, why should it be addressed to someone?
Yeah, why should we give like that? That's an unfortunate thing. So therefore, basically that our idea is to see that Sanatana Dharma will bridge the gap between the yoga and also the philosophy that is there. And also not only that, the practices that we are doing, another thing that people call it as ritual. There is nothing like ritual. It is a sadhana that we do it. In fact, whether we do the Ganesha Puja, whether it is Saraswati Puja, Dev Forestry was Saraswati Puja, it's all sadhana. How to bring about the value of sadhana in all these things, that's what we need to see in the Sanatana Dharma. We go to this elaborately connecting about the whole aspect of yoga in what way that we think of it, what are the models that we use in yoga. We'll talk about that as we proceed in our discussions of Sanatana Dharma. So I'll talk about some more details about the Puranas, then I will go to those things. Then also we will have one more thing as Dharma Sandigdha, that means the dichotomy of Dharma. We think about that. We'll stop it here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Any doubts? Anyone want to unmute yourself? Any chat, Raghuramji? Chat, anyone has written?
No, it's okay. No, everybody is muted.
You were talking before about this Lakshman Rekha, right? So it applies to not only women crossing the limitation, it is applying for all of us, even if for a youngster.
Yeah.
When we are saying don't cross this time.
The idea is that you are now, there is a time when you are responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
In fact, today also somebody I was telling that, yesterday I was telling somebody that your health is 100% your responsibility. Nobody is responsible for your health. And then health is not just only physical health, but the overall health. And means what you input, what you put into yourself. Be careful. Is it something which is poison? Is it something which is nectar? It's up to you. It can be a thought, it can be an idea, it can be some interactions of society. Or today, what happens is the media's input is so big, it's up to you to decide. So, how much that anybody can control that? So that's why we need to empower that. There's another thing that we think that the freedom is given by the society outside. No. Indian philosophy always said that you earn the freedom by your knowledge. If you have the knowledge, you have the freedom. If you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the freedom.
You choose your boss.
Yes.
So by chance, if somebody crosses the line and they understand that they had crossed the line and they had fallen somewhere, they go back.
They go back.
I think that also is good.
They can go back.
Right? Yeah.
Actually, there are 4 ways to that they come back.
Correct.
One is that a software they understand Sama.
Yeah.
Another is they see the benefit of changing that.
Correct.
And third is the way that they see that others are, you start feeling guilty, you start feeling that you're isolated, all these things. So, Veda. And then the last one is that you suffer, and that suffering brings about a consciousness within you.
Yeah.
If the suffering has not brought in consciousness within you, nobody can help it. I was giving that example the other day that when we were just married at that time, Nagaratna and myself, about 3-4 months we married. And then one of the relatives, Nagaratna, and he suffered a heart attack. Immediately we went to the young, 45 years, and heart attack. And then we went. We knew that he abused his body, everything. Half an hour she gave a talk that you should not abuse yourself, all those things, everything. And I said, can I go to the bathroom? He said, no. The doctors wanted to observe you. Should not even go to the bathroom. That's why you have catheter everything so that you confine on the bed itself. Whatever that is there, you try to. Half an hour she gave a talk, and afterwards she said, now it's getting dark, so let me go. So we'll go home. Yes, right. And then before going home, we thought that there's another patient there in the Victoria. To see that patient. Talked for about half an hour, and then came out. And we came out and came to the main gate. Outside the main gate, there was a Mirchi Bonda shop was there. And we saw uncle standing there. And I say, uncle standing there. The moment I said that, then she looked at him. Before she took a chance, he took a chance. He said, what is this? Huh? It's already 7 o'clock, it's so dark. You said you will go home. You're still here? How dangerous it is? He started shouting at us.
Good strategy.
Next morning he was not there.
I think that's what parents also do, Raghuramji. We sit and give gyan to our children.
Yeah.
And then after some time again you see the child doing it, you
Right.
get really perturbed.
Right.
I very clear example. I remember my son. He went along with his sisters and went out and overate. And then he said he had a good meal and all that. Next day morning, the
Upset.
loose motion started. He only missed out his playtime. Then consciously now he is himself conscious how much to eat.
Yeah.
So I was actually thinking about this line. Now he himself has developed
Right.
the freedom that I have so many
Yeah.
things, but I'm going to be conscious because I had suffered.
Yes.
So I was thinking about that. Yeah. So we are responsible for ourselves. The subtle lesson, and if a lesson is learned by them themselves,
Yes.
let us not be too hard on
Correct.
them. Another thing I was just saying, this is disturbing me these days. There is the show, a lot of youngsters are getting attracted to something called stand-up comedy. You have seen that?
Comedy. Yes, I've seen that.
So half the time the topic will be either please your mother, father, guru, your culture, and bad languages. No, it's even if you take very decent stand-up comedy where they don't use vulgar jokes, even that if you see, the topic will be this only. And uh, you laugh finally. You're making fun of your wife, you're making fun of your some weakness of somebody who is in your family. And children are taking this to be very normal thing because everybody laughs because and I'm seeing that in our Shastras, comedy is not actually so encouraged. I mean, be it Ramayana, but comedy, even if it is there, it's never about making fun of other.
Not at the cost of somebody else. You can make fun, but not at the cost of somebody else.
I was observing all the famous stand-up comedians who are earning a lot of viewerships and who are million views and all that. Because even those people who are branded as very decent comedy.
But it's also like a bubble. It will come. You see, it was not there about 5 years back.
No, it is at its peak.
Now it has come to the peak. I never saw that 5 years ago. At that time, only one or two here and there, somebody, which is worth that was there. More of, cultural kind of a thing. But today it has become vulgar. Vulgar in the sense that this way. And it will fall. The children will not be. See, the interest in that, it meteoric. It just rises and then drops off. Look at the way that these days the amount of children going towards the screen also reduced. Their amount of interest in these things have come down. They only go to the screen if there is some valuable information that is. See, one good thing about these things is that you have such extraordinary, wonderful message, which otherwise would not have been conveyed to the people. So people see that. So early that they mature. That's the only thing. Maturity happens early.
Long time ago, a kind of novel started coming, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, all depressive kind of novels. I remember when my daughter was that age at that time. basically it's all about the children complaining about everything in their life. But it was a phase, like you said. In one phase it was.
Phase,
It
it's
fell off.
it was fades off.
No, because when we faced comedy like this, we had already seen how to respect
Yeah.
elders. And we had gone through that phase, and this comedy came as a relief for us, because we were also stressed up. But here they're not even seeing the respect part. They're already
part.
exposed to.
Yes.
That's why, like you said in the beginning of the class, this thing, the family bond relationship has to become slow and so much
Yeah. That has
stabilized
been
and
established.
established. So nothing can shake.
You're right.